I was a senior in high school, Essex Catholic High School in Newark, New Jersey. And I was taking a course. It was called Government and the Law. The brother, it was an all boys Catholic high school. His name was Brother Robert Conway. His brother, his real brother, biological brother, was a very prominent lawyer in New Jersey. Brother Conway had a Juris Doctorate degree, but he didn't practice law. I don't think he even took the bar. He was a teacher of the course. And in the middle of a course, the school was in a neighborhood. It wasn't the best of neighborhoods. And he would look out the window and see police officers pull over a car. And he'd call the whole class over and tell the class, you could do this, the cop can't do that, he can't do this, he could do that. Then he also made us go down to the courthouse and watch a trial. We got to watch a second-degree murder case and write a paper on it. I got an A+ on it. But I was caught right there. That was what sucked me in. That was in 1976. Fast forward 10 years later, 1986, I am working in the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. The prosecutor, Gladys Cooper, is still there. So my mom's side of the family, they were born in Cuba. My mom was born in Cuba. My father was born in Cuba. My mom's parents were born in Spain. My grandfather on my mother's side was from Aragon. I forget what the region is called. Shame on me, Zaragoza. On my mother's mom's, she was from Sevilla, which is the southern part. Don't ask me how they ever met up and came to Cuba, but they did. His father was Cuban. He was born in Cuba. His mother was from Galicia, which is a part in northwest Spain. And I was born in Cuba, so I like to take digs at Cuban judges that say, oh yeah, I'm Cuban, but they were actually born in Hialeah or Miami. And I'm like, well, technically you're not. Yes, yes, absolutely. And my grandfather had very little formal education. My maternal grandfather, he was a Spaniard. And when I was robed, unfortunately, my grandfather had passed away quite some time, probably like 15 years or so. But my uncle came up to everybody and said, could you imagine, I used to call him abuelo, or they would call him papa, being here to see this, and it would really have warmed the cockles of his heart. It's a pretty corny phrase there. But my grandfather, even though he had very little formal education, was very well read and probably knew more Shakespeare, more of the classic writers than anyone that I've ever met, easily. Well, I really started out, again, in high school with the previous answer I had given. But it was more like I wanted to go into criminal law. That's what I liked. Even though in law school, that's what most law students don't like. They tend to shy away from that because they want to go into business law or litigation or torts, which is now known as personal injury. But with regards to becoming a judge, it wasn't until I had been a prosecutor for 21 years, and a friend of mine encouraged me to put in and apply to the governor that I started thinking about it. But for me, it was always being a lawyer, being a prosecutor. It was just a natural progression of life. I was close to 50 at that time. I had pretty much done everything you could do as a prosecutor. I think it's an honorable position if you do it well. It's a very important part of the legal system, our political system also, because we're the third branch of government, the executive, the legislative, and then you have the judiciary. And so it's a very important job. You need to take it seriously, and you also need to be very careful. I don't think it's for everyone. I don't think you should let it go to your head and get what some of us out there call it black robe fever. You need to kind of like ground yourself and understand that the reality is that you're nothing more than an umpire calling balls that strike at a baseball game, or a referee calling a basketball game saying that's a foul, that's not a foul, or pick whatever sport you want. I like trying cases. I like to be in trial, and because that's where you get to be the arbiter, the neutral, detached arbiter, the umpire, and listen to the objections and make the appropriate rulings on them to the best that you can. You should, somebody once said, if you're concerned about getting reversed, don't worry about it. You're going to get reversed sooner or later anyway, so you might as well just rule. So trials are fun. I had a lot of trial experience as a prosecutor. I learned a lot from judges as a prosecutor, and that has helped me to ground myself and enjoy the most enjoyable part is when you have a difficult motion, a difficult trial, and then you're like, oh boy, well, I could rule this way and I would be correct, and I can rule that way and I would be correct. Now, what am I going to do? The day after I got an opponent in 2010, the day after the election, I came into work. I don't know, got in about 8 o'clock or so, and my direct line was ringing, which is unusual because not too many people have that phone number. And I picked it up, and it was Justice Labarga, who was on the Supreme Court of Florida. He went on to become the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Florida for 4 years. He's a friend. He just called me up to congratulate me and to tell me how proud and how happy he was. He's like myself, he's Cuban, and that was very important. And then to go out on the bench that same day and come out, the bailiff says, all rise, and I come out, and everybody is clapping in my courtroom. The PD, the prosecutor, even 1 or 2 of the inmates. I don't know why they were clapping, but they were. But that's the kind of thing that really makes your heart feel nice and warm. The Justice of the Supreme Court, George Labarga, calling and walking into a courtroom and seeing that everybody universally is happy that you were there. I don't think we have enough. I think we should have more. I encourage lawyers who I feel are qualified to put in or to run for a judge. I'm not of the opinion that there should be a quota or a number on it, but I am of the opinion that the judiciary should represent the community that it serves. So we have 12 out of 90. I don't think that's, I think there's room for many, many more Hispanic judges. I suspect that we will be getting many more. Just like we should be getting many more African-American judges, Haitian-American, Jamaican-Americans, and judges from across all walks of life. I'm all for diversity, with the understanding that we should represent the community that we represent should be represented on the bench. Very important. For obvious reasons. Number one, you're talking about a nationality, even though there is no such thing as Hispanic. We're all united because of a language. But it's important that these are folks that are coming here, and English is going to be like most immigrants, but relevant right now today, Hispanics are coming here, and this is their second language. So they've already started behind everyone. So it's important for the lawyers to help these folks out, for the judges to when you get litigants in the courtroom or whoever it is, and I get Spanish interpreters all the time, to interact with them and let them know, you know what, this system isn't just a system that's made of all white males and that's it. No, this is a system where we have diversity, we have gender equality to the extent that we can, and racial equality to the extent that we have, and uh, ethnic equality to the extent that we have. I'm one that represents the Hispanic. I want you to know that. I want you to go out there to the community and say, oh, yeah, we have Hispanic judges in Broward County. And not only that, we have Hispanic judges that are doing a real good job. And that's really important. Law students, I would tell them, time out. You're not even a lawyer yet, so don't worry about becoming a judge. I mean, you could have it in the back of your mind, and then somewhere down the road, you put in for judge, but why don't you concentrate on your legal career before you get to your judgeship? For lawyers that have been lawyers for longer than 5 years, absolutely. If you are highly qualified, and that's what you want to do, understanding what the job entails, then go for it, do it. We need you. We need more of us, more Hispanics on the bench.